Let's see. Time to check and see if we're live here. One moment. Last time I played some music. May as well do that again. Let's see if I can get this right. One moment. I think that's right. Yeah. Okay. And let me make sure that the audio is on. Okay. Yep, it is indeed on. All right. It is Friday, January 9th, 2026 at 5:07 p.m. Central Standard Time. And here we are. We're going to be discussing episode 4 of the Fallout TV series, season 2 of the Fallout TV series. I'm going to quickly finish up covering episode 3 because I realized as soon as I finished the stream last time that I didn't actually do that. There's one final scene that we didn't cover, and then I've got my notes on episode 4 as well to go over. Definitely a very interesting episode. I think I liked 4 much more than 3. Definitely because there's far less... what's the proper way to put it? Improper use of the Brotherhood of Steel, I guess would be the way to put it. There's definitely still some weird stuff going on, but I was not a fan of the way that the Brotherhood was depicted with the idiots that were juggling grenades, the way that they were going about just chucking that Zayton corpse, the way they just found that pristine car and destroyed it was all very not Brotherhood of Steel. But anyway, so let's cover this last scene of... episode 3, and then we'll move on to episode 4. It's a quick scene where we've got Maximus and Harkness have found the Sunset Sarsaparilla facility, where Thaddeus is working with a team of children, and as we covered before, about half the children are ghouls and mutants and stuff like that. And we got a picture, yeah, again, we just covered that. That's Maximus in the back, and Xander Harkness at the front, the Paladin emissary from the Commonwealth. So... let's go ahead and move on to the next scene there. Let's see, I'll scoot this forward. Basically, they discover the fact that there are children there, and so Harkness decides to go ahead and show his face to kind of appear more friendly to them. And after that... one moment. Here we go. The children start to make their appearance. Okay. And immediately you can see that some of them are ghouls. Now, the Brotherhood doesn't like ghouls, generally speaking, or really any mutants, and so you have Harkness separate these kids according to whether or not they're mutants or not. And let's see, one moment. I'll zoom forward to that. And after he has them split up, Thaddeus decides to present himself to the group here. And in the end, as Harkness is just about to start gunning them down... I'm going to back that up a second. Yeah, that's close as I can get to a screenshot here of the exact moment. Maximus slams the sledgehammer down into Harkness's helmet, killing him on the spot, actually. So that's about that right there. Basically, there's a quick little meet and greet between Maximus and Thaddeus after that, where Maximus reveals who he is to Thaddeus, and yeah. So then we go on to the next episode. Well, actually, real quick, though, the closing credits, let me get a shot of that real quick, appears to be some sort of launch facility of some sort. I think I actually covered this specifically last time, but in case I didn't, it looks to me a lot like the automated silos from Appalachia, but there are also Securitron remains. There's an arm of one right there, but again, we're going to move on to the next episode. So, okay, so that's right here, and we start on the Alaskan front, and in fact, I've already got a screenshot of that up, but I'll get another one just 'cause it'll be quicker. If I can get it to open, and it is open. Okay, let me close some of these out. Sorry, one moment. There it is. All right, so we open up on the Alaskan front. You can kind of see there's a pipeline running through there, probably some sort of pumping station right there. And along with that, hey, good to see you, Night Spearhead. Hope you're having a good week. In the background, we actually have an airship, showing that these airships, because it looks exactly like the Prid one, were apparently a pre-war design that the Brothers of Steel was later using. And also I need to check up on the history of the Vertibird, because I feel like I remember it being the case that they were not actually in active duty, at least in previous iterations of the lore. I'll definitely check up on that, but I feel like I remember it being the case within Fallout 3 that they were basically in prototype stage by the time the war actually kicked off. So, or the world kicked off. Yeah, Deathclaws. And from my understanding, because I looked this up later because I couldn't remember it specifically, and it is effectively confirming Fallout 2 lore that Deathclaws are pre-war. By the way, real quick, G Fuel. You can use my code iCartographer to get 20% off at checkout. But yeah, so apparently it was a Fallout 2 piece of lore that Deathclaws were pre-war, basically intended by the United States government to serve as soldiers to help. Yeah, again, so I like you're saying right there, Vertibirds, I think that there is a little bit of lore breaking here with that. And again, I don't know what was going on with the airships, because just to be clear here about airships and the reason why we don't see them in modern combat, why they existed really only in World War I, it's because they're slow and very large targets, and they're not difficult to hit. It's one of those things where they don't make sense in a war where you can actually launch jet planes into the air. And regardless of whether or not they show jets here in these scenes over Alaska, there absolutely were jet fighters. And I can tell you right now, an airship is not going to stand up well against a jet fighter. Now, they work well in the post-apocalypse when you're trying to cover rough terrain, where you don't really have a lot of enemies that have anti-air capabilities. So again, in the aftermath of the nuclear war, airships make a lot of sense. For the invasion of Alaska, basically fighting the invasion of Alaska doesn't make a lot of sense, but regardless. Alright, so next we get into title screen of the Alaskan front, and we come to Cooper Howard and his days on the Alaskan front. He is part of, I think the team is White Horse 2, or White Knife 2. Yeah, I think White Horse, White Knife, I can't remember. No, yeah, there's definitely some issues in the Fallout world in terms of logic. But yeah, so again, we got Cooper Howard here, and I actually have it in the notes. I should check that real quick. Let me grab my notes, actually, pull them off screen here. Okay. Yeah, I think it's White Knife 2, but of course I could have basically misremembered that because it is Charlie White Knife who's with him, and they're searching for a team, I believe, called Raider 3. So they come across this destroyed Vertibird, but in the process we're encountering the sheer number of... actually, sorry, I don't have the screenshot up. There we go. The sheer number of malfunctions that are existing within the T-45 power armor here on the front. Specifically, like Charlie White Knife pops up, and here, let me scoot this forward a little bit. Well, here we go. It's a good shot of Cooper Howard's face in his armor here, freaking out on the front a little bit. White Knife comes up, and you can see the sparks coming out of his armor. He can't even raise his gun arm to shoot. Cooper having trouble with getting his visor moving on his face. And along with that, I think he's kind of like limping, if I'm remembering correctly. Not because he's injured, but because his suit is malfunctioning. And then along with that, Charlie White Knife also has the issue where his the voice modulator is also not working properly either. So it's kind of cutting in and out. But anyway, so they basically radio into their headquarters because they're concerned about their armor malfunctioning. They're looking to retreat. Headquarters says, no, you need to continue. He sends Charlie White Knife back, basically lying to him, saying that headquarters said to leave. And, wait, was that? It's funny that they marked the... Yeah. Yeah. I do, and it is interesting that they've got the USMC on the front of it. Let's see, can I scoot back and forward on these? I'm not seeing it if there is an opportunity. So let me go back to these. There we go. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not showing his front right there. One moment. Yeah, okay, well there's a better shot. You can see a little bit of the armor there. Yeah, it has USMC stamped on the front of it. But anyway, so Charlie White Knife, he tells him to go back. He'll be right there with him. He continues to move forward, though, and that's when he gets ambushed. I don't even know if it really counts as an ambush. He's on the front line right now. But a bunch of, well, 3 actually specifically, Chinese soldiers pop up, start shooting at him. They're actually headed by a woman at the very least. Whether or not they are all women, I don't know. But here I can get you a shot of that. Yep. Nope. It didn't. Instead of taking a screenshot, it decided to zoom forward. But regardless, in the process of getting shot, his armor malfunctions. He can't move anymore, and he falls over onto the ground, and so he's effectively trapped. So the Chinese, rather than just immediately shooting him, decide to come up and check out the situation. I don't know if they're planning on capturing him, or if they were going to kind of just gloat a little bit, then shoot him. But basically what ends up happening is he spots something going on in the background. Something going on over by the vertibird crash. And I'll get a screenshot of that here in 1 second. And what that is that he's, yep, there it is. Spots a Deathclaw getting out of the wreckage of the vertibird. And basically, though, right before this, the Chinese are basically the woman saying, like, oh yeah, they've got you stuck in this thing, they're going to do the same thing to us before too long. Of course, as far as we know, throughout the rest of the lore of the rest of the games, the Chinese never developed power armor, so it's just, I guess, speculation on her part. But regardless, the Deathclaw comes forward, completely slaughters the Chinese soldiers. Not a great picture of it, but you can see that there's the giant Deathclaw right behind her, and that she's I can't remember if she's shining a flashlight on it or actually shooting it in the moment, but regardless, it tears them apart and then turns around and faces Cooper Howard, but does not do anything to him before it basically stomps off into the wasteland. Not wasteland, well, it is kind of a wasteland, but not really, technically speaking, because it's not post-nuclear war. Stomps off into the wasteland looking for more Chinese soldiers to kill. So it does seem that there was actually a fairly significant amount of control by the government of the Deathclaws at this point in time. It's funny, Epic Knight actually did a power armor video discussing the topic of the Chinese developing their own. It's only brought up a few times in the game and hasn't been confirmed that they were successful. Yeah, so we've seen the Chinese in power armor like only once, as far as I know, and it's remnant Chinese. Yeah, so I think that what they had to counter it was actually displayed within the Operation Anchorage DLC, which was they had basically fields of EMP tech. So as the power armor would be marching across the battlefield, they just fire off some EMP that would end up disabling all the electronic parts within the armor. And this would make it actually worse than what you have with the NCR within the second Battle of Hoover Dam. If you haven't ever done that, you don't know, but the NCR had power armor with the servos ripped out because they didn't have power armor training, so they couldn't effectively use it properly. Yeah, they had so if I'm remembering correctly, that is not Chinese power armor. It's American power armor that they've captured down there. But welcome to the stream, Jexter Jackson. But anyway, so where was I? So yeah, that's what they had to count. So yeah, the NCR had stripped the servos out so that it was basically them having to use their strength to move the armor forward in order to do the battle. But in this case, when they use the EMP to actually fry all the servos and everything, it locks the armor up and basically freezes them in place on the battlefield. That's why that EMP tech was actually fairly effective against the power armor, but it's one of those things where it's a static defense, and so if you can get around it, then it doesn't work. So anyway, though, yeah, Deathclaw, again, seems to have been under fairly good control of the American government at this point in time, because, again, it does not even touch Cooper Howard. Either that or I don't know why else it would ignore him. Maybe he's not moving enough, that doesn't see him. They got the eyesight based on movement. I don't know. Regardless, though, yeah, as far as I know, the only time there's Chinese power armor in a game is within Fallout 76, and it comes out of the Atomic Shop, which means it's not canonical material. So anyway, we then cut forward to the next scene. One moment. Yeah, basically at the end of this, it's obvious that the Americans have won the battle here. We go through the title screen, and then we get back to the last scene we just covered at the end of episode 3, which is the Sunset Sarsaparilla facility, where we have the dead Paladin Harkness here lying on the ground with this rocket sledge in his head. Yeah, T-Rex designed. And so, yeah, basically there's a quick conversation here between Thaddeus and Maximus, because Maximus is basically, he's explaining, I think, a little bit of what's happening here. He's just killed the emissary from the Commonwealth, but they hear a vertibird flying in. And so he explains to Thaddeus that if they find out that there's all these kids here, they're going to kill them because they're abominations, and they're going to kill him because he's an abomination. So he convinces Thaddeus to put on his armor and basically march out. Let's get a good shot of that. One moment. So yeah, basically, let me get a shot here. Sorry, there we go. So this is not exactly what I was looking for, but it's part of it. So this is Maximus and Harkness's vertibird that's landed here, and then there's a second vertibird that's been sent by Quintus to recover him. And here we go. This is one of Quintus's knights here, and then we have Maximus walking out of the Sunset Sarsaparilla facility wearing nothing but his fatigues. And he says the vertibird broke down, and then we have Thaddeus marching out in Maximus's armor. And Thaddeus, as far as I can tell, this is the first time he's ever worn power armor, which definitely explains why he takes like 3 times for him to get out of the door of the facility. Yeah. So they eventually get back to the vertibird, take off, and for some reason, like, this is weird to me to an extent. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much of the Brotherhood here that does not seem to represent the Brotherhood that we've come to know over time, which is that they just, and there may be some background stuff going on here that we're not aware of. They just leave the first vertibird there at the Sunset Sarsaparilla facility. Like, it seems crazy to me that they would do that, given how much the Brotherhood treasures the technology that they have control over. Like, you would expect them either to potentially destroy it to keep it from being captured by anybody, or that they would send people to recover it. So maybe they send people to recover it and we just don't see it on the screen. Good thing 2 power arms aren't common in this chapter. Yeah. No, yeah. That's the thing. Harkness had 2 sets of power armor on his vertibird for just himself. And so, even though Harkness was dead in his power armor, Maximus was able to hand over the second set as though he went himself just in his fatigues while Harkness was in his power armor. So, okay. So that brings us to Lucy recovering from her time having been captured by the Legion. And she is currently getting an IV drip. I'll get you a shot of that. I mean, it's not a perfect shot, but they don't really show it right on. They always have this kind of like sunbeam glaring through it. But yeah, it's she's got an IV drip in her arm, and we later discover that this IV drip is buff out for some reason. I don't really know why they're giving her buff out. It would seem to make more sense to me just that she needed hydration. As we saw, the last time we saw her, she was basically dehydrated from her time having been crucified by the, or at least at the very least lashed to a cross. I don't know if crucifixion requires being nailed to the cross, or if it's simply being affixed to a cross. Regardless, she was lashed to a cross, so she was dehydrated and kind of losing consciousness. So yeah, she's been apparently on an IV drip for the past 2 days. And this is within the ranger camp. So if I can get a shot of that. Probably had those scribes recover it. Yeah. So, if anything, we might assume that there is still a vertibird there to be recovered. I wish I could get a good screenshot here, but unfortunately, so much of the time there's this little bit of blur. So yeah, we've got, it seems, I originally thought there were only 2 rangers here, but I think there are at least 3, maybe more. I think this one's called Rodriguez, if I'm not misremembering. I can't remember what the other one that shows his face is called. But basically, they claim that they are just a couple members of the NCR. They've got more soldiers. Here we go. There's another good shot of them. Not great. The face she's making isn't great there. I do enjoy this actor. I can't remember some of the things I've seen him in, but I remember seeing him in Psych. And he plays this kind of similar character, not in terms of like the outfit that he's in Psych. He's playing a former intel operative who's extremely paranoid and stuff like that, but like friendly, but like also has the kind of an edge in the background. But anyway, regardless, he's in this case hanging out with, I can't remember what he has. He's got some little creature in a cage here, but effectively they're packing up to leave. So here we go. There's a better, cleaner shot of him there. Yeah, so wearing the riot armor. And the ghoul has stayed there with her. I don't know. I think we talked about this last time a little bit. The ghoul went to go get her because he needs her for some reason. I think it's the Pip-Boy. But like we talked about last time, I don't know why the Legion left the Pip-Boy on her when they lashed her to the cross. Like it, I don't know. That was a strange choice in my mind. I think the only reason they did that was for the convenience of the flow of the show, so they didn't have to like also then recover the Pip-Boy before they left. So anyway. So yeah, they leave together. One moment. Oh yeah, she asks, what are, the female ranger asks, I mean, the Legion does have some tech though, that's the thing. People keep saying that like the Legion doesn't have guns. The Legion does have guns. One moment. There we go, there's another shot here as they're getting ready to leave. So yeah, again, and if you save Caesar in Fallout New Vegas, you do it with an auto dock. So I mean, it's not the case that they don't necessarily believe in any technology. So, and you'd have to think that they would think that yeah, Legion. It was funny. You'd have to think that they would recognize the value of a Pip-Boy. You can use them to open vaults, for example. And we've even seen that specifically with Lucy's model, because not all of them in the past have had that tether on them. But that tether is common to the one we've seen in both Fallout 4 and here with Lucy. And I think Fallout 76 has that tether on it as well. I can't remember though off the top of my head. So anyway, though. So yeah, Lucy, Dogmeat, and the ghoul leave. Basically, the female ranger here asks, like, what's going on here? And she says she's hunting for someone. She's like, are you going to kill him, or are you looking for someone you love or whatever? And she's like, I'm going to bring him to justice. So, at least when Caesar was in control. They definitely have guns, but I think there was cases where they were... Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't done enough research on the Legion for videos yet. When I do get around to it, I'll look into it. It does seem like something that they would be generally opposed to. Probably one of those things where a view that some people have where using too much technology makes you weak. And there are definitely cases where like that is true. I mean, unquestionably true. It's one of those things where it's like the average American, or people in general, used to do a lot more physical labor before the introduction of things like dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, all that kind of stuff. And so obviously physically more active at the time. Then you got things like calculators, which obviously make it so you don't have to do as much thinking in terms of math. And especially now with the internet, I don't know about you all, but I've definitely found that my memory is not quite as good as it used to be. Now it's still pretty good. But it's one of those things where it's, as soon as you have the ability to look up anything at a moment's notice, it's definitely something where your mind doesn't necessarily hold on to things as easily. It's the same reason why the few cultures out there that still don't heavily utilize writing have much better memories than the cultures that do. Because it's one of those things where as soon as you start writing down your history, you don't remember it as well as you do when you're something where you're remembering the exact oral tradition as you're passing it down to the next generation. So there is some truth to the idea that technology does make us weaker, but it also makes us more efficient. So, sorry, I heard a noise back there. I think one of my cats is doing something. Anyway, I do like this little ranger camp here, because this definitely looks like almost like a real location you'd find in Fallout 70 and Fallout New Vegas. I mean, but anyway, let's go ahead and move on to. Yeah, so basically Lucy does seem to be changing her ideology a little bit. Sorry, I'll put that back up. Because, like, effectively, even though she's kind of intrigued by the concept of the New California Republic, she says that all she saw here were a bunch of people wearing uniforms again. And she seems to be kind of moving against that. And as we'll see later, her personality actually makes a pretty big change over the course of this episode. So, let's move here. All right, so we now get back to Reg and his, what's it called, support group for the products of inbreeding. And yeah, products of Ingredient Support Group. You can even see it there on the wall. And effectively, he took what he learned from his first meeting, which was that he only kept people with snacks, and he's turned this into... My memories are good at remembering random facts. No, yeah. I was literally talking to one of my coworkers today about how I saw that there... I can't... even like, even right here, this is a little bit of showing how my memory is not quite what it once was, before things like search engines became as... well, search engines these days are kind of terrible. I found that, generally speaking... AI chatbots are much better search engines. Specifically, if you like ask them for something, they'll find it for you better. But so just to give you a little example of where this kind of thing, where I also personally have a lot of weird random facts in my head. Things like I saw that there's, I can't remember if it's an anime or a manga, but something called Nausicaa, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but it's Nausicaa, I think. CCA, something like that. Regardless, I was like, I know I've seen that name before. And I remembered it's Mass Effect related, and it's because there's a gas giant that has sodium in the upper atmosphere, which causes it to be tinted gray or silver. I can't remember specifically, but I was like, why do I remember the name of a specific gas giant within Mass Effect? But anyway, so yeah, random facts right there when I need them. But anyway, so yeah, Norm discovered that the best way to get people to actually come to his things was to offer enormous amounts of food. And so he basically started what Betty in a moment will call a snack club. And I thought that was actually fairly hilarious. He's calling it a support group. And there's kind of this comical dialogue in the background where, and it's actually, yeah, I'll pull it up right here, where basically this guy's like, oh my gosh, I got this feeling that my aunt and my uncle were related, and my father and my uncle were related, and stuff like that. It's like, and of course with Vault 33, it does seem that there was a lot. Basically, by the time of the Fallout TV show, everyone was effectively some form of cousin. Now, exactly how close we don't know, but yeah, there's he's got this group here where apparently the entire thing they do is basically just hang out, talk about their relations, and eat enormous amounts of snacks. And again, this is how Reg has effectively created some level of feeling of usefulness for himself. Now, the jugs of water are empty, so he's going to go get more water. And of course, as we know, Vault 33 is experiencing a water shortage. And as we see right here, they're literally trying to water plants with eyedroppers, as Norm is wasting enormous amounts of food and water and all kinds of supplies on his snack group, basically. And again, here we got there's even a PA announcement where they're being limited to 1 liter of water a day because of, again, the broken water chip, and they don't have that much water left in their stores. And so we move forward here, and Betty confronts him about the fact that he's wasting so many resources for this basically pointless club. And he's like, oh, you can't take this away from me. So that's about that for this scene. And once again, we get back to the ghoul, Lucy, and Dogmeat. And this is when Lucy notes that she's feeling itchy and that the air feels heavy. And the ghoul confirms to her that she is now addicted to Buff-Out after being on a drip for 2 days. Again, I don't know why she was on a drip of Buff-Out for 2 days, but especially because Buff-Out comes in pill form. So unless they... I guess they ground it up and put it into an IV, and I don't know. They turned it into a solution and put it in her arm. Especially when you consider that Buff-Out is weirdly in game kind of like a temporary, rapid steroid. Need like 5 to 1,000 people to avoid inbreeding long term. Vault 101's overseer can be convinced by mentioning how low the population is. No way the Vault's population is sustainable with Vault 31 gone. Absolutely. Well, and it's, yeah, it's, I can't remember the exact number, but I remember seeing something like that where effectively, if, you know, if a population falls below a certain level, it's kind of impossible to rebuild, without causing long-term birth defects and stuff like that. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, I would say 500 to 1,000 is probably fairly realistic there. I would say on the upper end of that. But yeah, so Lucy is now addicted to Buff-Out, and the ghoul is effectively telling her that she has 2 ways to go about dealing with this, one of which is basically going cold turkey And by the way, one thing real quick: the Mojave is weirdly green in a lot of these scenes. Now, my guess is that they filmed a lot of this in California, not actually specifically in the Mojave, or maybe this was after a rainstorm or something like that, because there is the case that the deserts do typically actually green up quite a bit right after rainstorms, but then go back to being kind of brown and gray afterwards. But regardless, so he's saying she can go cold turkey and feel like crap for 4 or 5 days, or she can just keep taking more drugs, and he recommends she takes more drugs. And of course, she, seeing as they're closing in on her father, decides that for the greater good, she's just going to have to stay addicted to drugs for the moment, and so she keeps on using Buff Out, which I thought was pretty funny. One moment. Okay, now we are back to Area 51 and the 4 airships that are in the sky. Of course, these are the 4 different chapters that are here. I remember I saw a name that people gave to Quintus's chapter. I can't remember what that was off the top of my head. I feel like San Fernando, something like that. I don't remember. But the other 3 chapters are Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Coronado. So let's go ahead and advance here. And we have Maximus having returned to the airship specifically rather than down to the ground. And I just actually considered this weird continuity thing here. So I don't know why he goes to the airship first, but yeah, he finds Dane, who says, well, actually Dane comes to him and says the Elder Cleric is looking for you. He explains that he has killed the emissary from the Commonwealth and that he's planning also to kill Elder Cleric Quintus. Now, Elder Cleric Quintus is on the ground, and later we see Dane and Thaddeus and Maximus on the ground. I don't know why there was this trip to the airship in the middle, thinking on it. Speaking of which, and I'm not going to go too deeply into this because it's a very serious sidetrack, but I just finished watching the 5th season of Stranger Things, and there's definitely a geography issue in that. I'm not going to spoil anything there, but there's some weird stuff that they did to the Upside Down in Season 5 that does not make any sense in terms of the geography of the Upside Down. But regardless, again, we're not here for that. So, let's see here. I wonder if poor quality of Quintus's recruits was adoption of the Wasteland people after the NCR Brotherhood conflict. So, like, the ranks are just random people with no older ranks to keep them guided. Yeah, it's interesting because they do seem to be recruiting just about anybody. We actually get confirmation in this episode that Quintus was the knight that rescued Maximus from the ruins of Shady Sands. Sorry, I just wanted to get to a better looking screenshot here that would had less motion blur in it and stuff like that. So probably to show off the docking process, maybe. But again, yeah, it's completely just they go up here and then in the next scene we see them, they're all back on the ground again. So I don't really know what the purpose of them being on the airship was, other than it looks cool. One moment. Yeah, so basically, with the elder from the, not the elder, with the paladin from the Commonwealth dead, there's this fear that the Commonwealth's just going to kill them all, which is what Dane says, and Maximus is like, no, I'm going to stop the Commonwealth, and killing Quintus first. Anyway, though, we go to the next scene, and we get to appointed himself elder after the Civil War in the NCR. I mean, it's the thing is, the chapters seem to be so disconnected within this version of the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, it's okay. So in Fallout New Vegas, the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel was separated from the rest of the chapters of the Brotherhood of Steel, specifically because they had actually gone dark, because they were hiding after the Battle of Helios 1. I can't remember what that battle was called. I think it actually had a name, but regardless, they were basically hiding out. And the rest of the Brotherhood was also not doing well. And this is always the part where I get kind of confused as to what's canonical and what's not, because some of the stuff does seem to be referenced in game, but some of it seems to be stuff that was kind of referenced in the Fallout Bible and stuff like that. And as we all know, the Fallout Bible is not canonical unless it's been referenced by canonical material. So effectively, there was a war between the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel, and the Brotherhood of Steel ended up effectively nuking the NCR's gold reserve, and by nuking, I mean, like, literally they made it radioactive, which made it so that the NCR had to go off the gold reserve. But anyway, so yeah, the NCR seems to have won the war between the Brotherhood and the NCR in Fallout New Vegas, but by the time we get to the Fallout TV show, which is not that long after Fallout New Vegas, the Brotherhood is reigning supreme, like has multiple chapters that all have airships and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to say exactly what has happened with the Brotherhood of Steel in between Fallout 2 and now. But anyway, so yeah, we get to Norm, who's with Buds from Vault 31, and they have found a truck full of Blamco mac and cheese, and they're sitting around eating it dry. And so Norm is talking to one of Buds named Claudia here. Let me get a shot of that. Okay, pause it. There we go. So yeah, this is Norm and Claudia. And Claudia is noting that this bridge that they see here, she drove over it a week ago. Now, the interesting thing about this scene is that she says that she drove across this bridge to go to a meeting with Vault-Tec, like to be hired. So, like an interview with Vault-Tec, I mean. So she literally went from like the second week of October 2077, getting a job with Vault-Tec, getting put into Buds, being put into Vault 31, being frozen, and then waking up now on the 2290s. And like her reference is that she was driving across this bridge a week ago. It's absolutely crazy to consider that, but also to consider not only the concept of like waking up, and it's just like Fallout 4 though, where you go to sleep right after the world ends and you wake up 210 years later, eating uncooked pasta and loving the mouthfeel. Is just some sort of corporate psychopath behavior. Yeah. Yeah. You generally speaking, by the way, it's not a good idea to eat a lot of dry food. If you're unaware of this, and this is just a little bit of life advice here. Eating dry food will dehydrate you, and in some cases can actually make you physically ill and vomit. So I experienced that with the Boy Scouts when we were out in Philmont Scout Ranch. One of the guys decided to eat a few too many apricots and effectively dehydrated himself into illness. But yeah, I assume that doing that with pasta is going to do that even worse. But pretty sure the NCR lost in New Vegas, judging by the state of New Vegas at the end. Yeah, it's hard to say. I'll talk about what my speculations are as to what happened in New Vegas at the end of this. But the other weird thing about this, because again I said it's got to be weird, it's got to be just really screw with your mind to like basically go to sleep and wake up 200 something years later. Also, the fact that she went immediately from not being a Vault-Tec employee to being within one of their like command vaults. It's crazy. So let's go ahead and head forward here to where Norm basically gets confronted by, what's the guy's name? Ronnie? It's effectively, he seems to have been Bud Askin's personal assistant. And so he was setting up meetings, and I took a note on the name of the type of meeting because I thought it was interesting in terms of the acronym that it formed. One moment here. We are now to scene 7. And Ronnie McCurtry, Bud's former personal assistant, who tells him that he used to set up lunch orders for when Bud was meeting with the investors over the Future Enterprise Ventures, which was the plans for Vaults 32 and 33. So again, though, the thing that was interesting to me is that the Future Enterprise Ventures is FEV as an acronym. Now, obviously, that's Forced Evolutionary Virus is what the typical FEV acronym is for the Fallout universe. I just thought that was interesting that they decided to go with that. But anyway, he says it's time for Phase 2, which is a very important part of the experiment. Doesn't actually say what Phase 2 is. I'm trying to determine here, and I guess we're not really going to see until the next time we see them again, because this is the last time we see Norm this episode, whether or not he's actually acting. Like you can see here, he's wearing his merit dot right there, which is one of those little wart or injection bandages that Norm was handing out as merit badges. It's hard to tell whether or not he actually believes Norm is the true boss of this group, or if he is basically trying to take over the group right now. But he says that Phase 2 is an important part of it, and he's trying to get them onto it now that they have found food, which he says is Phase 1. So, all right. One moment. So yeah, we get Norm actually being the last person here. He went from leading the group out of Vault 31 to now being the last person in the group here as they move off into the ruins of Los Angeles. Okay, so we now get to where we have Woody, who's getting consistently lost within Vault 32. Having grown up in Vault 33, I don't know if the vaults are mirrors of each other or if they're entirely different layouts, but he keeps forgetting the way through the vault. And in the process, he accidentally walks into Davy's unit. I enjoy Davy. He's a fun guy. Davy's being kind of weird in the way he's talking about things here. But regardless, he ends up wandering into a meeting, and by wandering into, I mean he happens upon it but does not enter it, into a intervault meeting between Betty and Stephanie Harper. And so basically Betty is trying to get Stephanie to give her water. She's telling her also here, Vault 31 is empty. Norm has emptied the cryo vaults, which is also interesting because the last time we saw the chamber with Bud's buds, a lot of the cryo caskets looked like they were still full. It was kind of weird. It was one of those things where it was like trying to almost create like an infinite chamber effect sort of a thing where there's like more and more and more and more pods, but a bunch of them looked like they were actually empty. So yeah, probably mirrored, probably is the case. So, but effectively, after informing Stephanie of the fact that Vault 31 is empty, Steph is trying to basically deprive Vault 33 of water. She's like, oh yeah, see, but if I give you access to our water, that's going to damage our experiment. And she's like, it's our ability to survive or whatever. And it's like, I sincerely doubt that Vault 32 would have a problem providing enough water to Vault 33 to survive. But regardless, she seems to be effectively trying to cut Vault 33 off to let it die. I don't know if her plan is to then take over Vault 33 after it dies off, but regardless, yeah, we get Woody basically overhearing this confrontation here between Stephanie and Betty. 1 second, there we go. Another shot there where she's basically kind of like not showing any emotion here for when Betty's like, we gotta have some water or we're all gonna die here. She's talking about setting up a triennial trade. She's pretending that she's so concerned about her baby, despite the fact that she continuously referred to the baby as it, despite the fact that it was a little baby boy that then she also allows to be named Chet Jr., despite the fact that it's not in any way related to Chet. But yeah, she seems to be something of a psychopath. But anyway, yeah, Woody overhears it. And also, I will note as well that Stephanie refers to Betty as being from Solvang. I don't know specifically what that means, and obviously the subtitle is not showing up here in the screenshot, but it says Solvang with capital S. I don't know if that's like it's supposed to be a city or if that's supposed to be a part of Vault-Tec specifically, like some sort of program, but Solvang again, I don't know. She says I got a lot of work to do, so she closes the door again, though. Woody has overheard all this. And if we advance here, we go to Solvang's a city in Cali. Okay, yeah, I was not aware of that. The next scene we get to is with Lucy and the ghoul approaching the strip. Pretty rich area. Okay, well then that explains that quite well. Thank you. And so, yeah, they see that the strip has basically effectively been abandoned at the front. Here, I'll see if we can get... So yeah, she asks the ghoul, you looking for a welcoming committee? And he says yes, actually. So it seems that the last time he was here, the strip was still active. But if we get a screenshot here, you can see that these are King's ghouls. Now, I originally thought that these ghouls were sentient from the way they act. But it seems that they are actually feral ghouls from the way they act later. But they seem to be doing the stuff where they like pop the collar, and they seem to be doing like these little dance effects and stuff like that. But no, yeah, they're actually feral. And they also see. Let me see if I can get a screenshot here. Yep, there we go. Dead Securitron. This is the first of multiple dead Securitrons they see across the area. So I am definitely very interested to see exactly what is going on with House. Because we have, other than the one time we've seen Victor and the second time we saw that Securitron with kind of the malfunctioning that was going on, those are the only two semi-functional Securitrons we've actually even seen so far. So it's going to be interesting to see what specifically has happened with House. Listen to the ending emergency NCR radio as well as the other ending slides. If the houses don't decide to ride on the strip, then the fiends somehow do, or it happens either way. The Securitrons turned on the NCR as indicated by the season 1 ending. Yeah. Well, and I think that there's something else that also happened here, which we'll talk about when we get to the ending credits, but so yeah, Lucy, now with her drug addiction, does not want to do what the ghoul says, because he says that he wants to go around to Freeside, which is on the northeast side of town, and basically look for some information as to what's going on here. She said she's tired of sidetracking and side quests, because he's saying it'll take him basically half a day to get around town. And she is not interested in that. She just wants to go straight through. And so we see a serious personality change here. Where she goes in and she has a very quick moment where she attempts to talk her way through things with the King's ghouls. Again, we got one of the feral ones that pops its head up as soon as she starts approaching. And let me get you a screenshot of her attempting the conversation. So yeah, again, here's a good shot of them approaching the strip. So yeah, we got more of these King's ghouls. So yeah, she initially tries to talk things out with them, but they immediately prove themselves to be feral and start trying to charge her. Let me get a shot of that. Here we go. Again, a lot of motion in this shot, but it is what it is. This thing tries to charge her, and she ends up blowing its leg off. Like, she acts immediately, blows its leg off. Which entrance is this, again, supposed to be that the Kings are outside of? I think it's Freeside, which is kind of a weird thing to consider. Like, because if you walk up to Vegas on the south side in Fallout New Vegas, you go past Camp McCarran on the right side at the location, but used to be McCarran Airport, which is now Harry Reid International Airport. You keep on going up and you get to the Las Vegas sign, which shows up in the game, but that side is completely fenced off. So Freeside is already the side they're entering through, but I guess they've kind of changed the layout of things a little bit. So anyway, though, yeah, she completely just blows this feral ghoul's leg off, and in the process, she seems to enjoy it, and she actually gets like her own little version of the ghoul's yodel. The little background with the vocalist yodeling in the background. And she actually just, like, finds that she loves this. One moment, I'll get you another shot of it. Yeah. She says, whoa, because she's actually, like, enjoying what's going on here. She throws her bag of guns on the ground, and like as the ghoul is like turning to face a feral ghoul that's coming in to kill him, she actually takes the shot and kills him. Recognize the side. It's yeah. Not Freeside. Well, again, there is no entrance on the Camp McCarran side, not in game at least. Yeah, and yeah. See, there's the New Vegas sign there in the background, which is on the Camp McCarran side. So yeah, she gets crazy here. Like, this is easily on par with the ghouls scene that takes place within the Novak pool area. As you can see right here, she just goes on a killing spree. Probably a lot of this I can't show on YouTube. But even when she gets knocked on the ground, when one of the ghouls has basically pinned her to the ground, she pulls out a pistol and blows its head off. And we get this image where she has definitely undergone a personality change. She's not terrified. She is like, she, she is just joyful, lying there on the ground with just covered in blood. And she takes this last shot here against one of the king's ghouls that has a guitar strung on its back, and we get the full-on opening trailer, or like opening cutscene, I mean, for Fallout New Vegas, where in the game it's the NCR Ranger who's firing on a fiend, but in this case we get her where she's using what looks like a gamma gun. So yes, again, but the Strip Northgate is like, it's adjacent to Freeside, so, and like it's also just down the street from the Atomic Wrangler and the Van Graffs, which are going to show up later in the show if the like future like what's coming stuff is in any way accurate. So yeah, she she fully takes on the ghoul's general enjoyment of combat, and he is liking it as well. He's enjoying this change to her personality, except for the fact that, yeah, get a good shot of that. She's like, "What? It's just ghouls," and he's like, "Oh." Yeah. This is her looking back at the ghoul. Again, you compare this to her when she's encountering that first Wastelander and basically hands over half of her water to this guy. There's Dogmeat, who also seems to be enjoying the whole situation. So yeah, they've arrived at the Strip Gate. Now, one thing I do want to note here real quick. Note the time of day that we're looking at here. Again, they're at the gate. They've just cleared the way. Look where the sun is in the sky. We can't actually see the sun, but it's not even sunset. Okay? Keep that in mind. We'll come back to that point later. All right. Okay. Next up, we are back at the Brotherhood, hanging out within Area 51. We're at the cafeteria here, where we have Thaddeus, who is unwilling to remove his armor because it would reveal that he is a mutant, and also not Xander Harkness, the paladin emissary from the Commonwealth. And yet, for some reason, he's decided to pick up a tray of food. I don't know exactly how he's planning on eating this, but he's wandering through the cafeteria, bumping into people. Because, again, he's new to wearing power armor. Anyway, though, this scene has got a lot of cuts in it. You can see here, Thaddeus is clearly showing his skin condition that has come along with whatever mutations come from that serum that he got from the snake oil salesman. Yeah, and he also doesn't seem to understand that the voice modulation thing is constantly open, so as he's mumbling to himself, yeah, it's definitely comic relief stuff. As he's constantly mumbling to himself, giving himself affirmations, calling himself Xander and stuff like that, he doesn't seem to realize that everyone can hear him when he's doing this, so let's get advanced here. Okay. He's then confronted by the elder from the Yosemite chapter, who comes up and basically is trying to sell out Quintus, basically saying, like, I don't know what you've heard, but regardless, we were never going to join up with Quintus's revolt. And then Thaddeus is just kind of trying to deal with the fact that he's being talked to by this person that he doesn't know. Next, though, we have all the kids being taken by Dane into a safe place. Because, again, she's... I honestly, I don't want to be rude here. I don't know how to refer to Dane. If you're not aware, Dane is played by, I think, a transgender actor. It's Zelia Mendez-Jones. I don't know if we're supposed to refer to the character as male. Regardless, Dane takes all the kids here because Maximus has said that he's planning on killing Quintus. And so Dane has brought these children here to get them out of the line of fire. So next up, we get to... Maximus arriving at Quintus's office. So yeah, we have Maximus walking in. Quintus orders his subordinates out, basically his robed assistants. I don't know if they're also supposed to be elders or just lower level clerics within the Brotherhood, but he gets them kicked out. Jeez Louise, my cat has left me covered in hair. He kicks them out in order to basically dress down Maximus for the fact that Maximus just disappeared. Maximus confesses to having killed Xander Harkness and pulls out a laser pistol with the plan of killing Quintus. Quintus confronts him on this. Basically, he's like, I'm the one who got you out of the ruins of Shady Sands. So again, it was a theory that the knight that rescued Maximus from Shady Sands was Quintus. It's been effectively confirmed here. And along with that, Quintus basically talks to Maximus, is like, what is your plan to do here? What are you going to do? If you kill me, it's just going to turn everything to chaos. He basically advances on Maximus. Maximus doesn't have it within him to kill Quintus, and so eventually he reveals that he killed the emissary because the emissary was going to kill a bunch of children, reveals that the children were themselves what the Brotherhood considers to be abominations, and that's when Quintus decides that he made a mistake attempting to save Maximus in the first place, gets a 10mm pistol and starts firing at him. So we can advance to that. And I think there's actually another scene in between that scene, this part and that next part. 1 second. Yeah, basically this is Quintus is guessing that Maximus has come here to kill him. But yeah, we go back to the cafeteria, because again, I count this all as effectively one scene. If in my notes, let me pull those up real quick just to show you what I'm doing here. Scene 7 here, Norman, Buds. Scene 8, Woody. Scene 9, Lucy and the Ghoul. Scene 10, we can see here the number of cuts. We've got the first part with the Yosemite Elder. We got Dane escorting the children, Maximus arriving at the headquarters, the Yosemite Elder. Oops. Then we got, so yeah, that's all that stuff there. But, so yeah, the Yosemite Elder is then joined by, let me get a shot of that. And again, I mentioned it last time, but I love seeing this actor in more things because it brings back fun things from the past. But we've got the Coronado Elder coming up here in the background, which if you haven't seen it, you should. X-Files. This actor back in the day played an alien bounty hunter on the X-Files. Thanks. Yeah, so we've got the Coronado Elder that comes up here. I like the different uniforms that they have as well, because we've got her with this kind of like fur-lined thing here, but he's got what you see. I've seen this armor before. I can't remember what it's called, but it's definitely a form of Brotherhood armor I've also seen before. And even Grand Canyon has his own specific armor, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, Thaddeus starts to basically kind of freak out a bit because he's now got multiple elders talking to him, thinking that he's Xander Harkness, and he does not know how to talk to these people. And we've got Coronado Elder that's also now threatening the Yosemite Elder. Coronado Elder is a bit of a misogynist, basically talks about the fact that nobody within his chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel is a woman. I think they're using the real-life version of Vegas instead of New Vegas' condensed version. Yeah. Camp Golf is Lake Las Vegas. NCR is near Route 147. Yeah, I don't think it does correlate to the game. Because, yeah, the sign is on the south side of Vegas where there's not a gate. But, yeah, so next up, sorry for leaving you all with a screenshot there for a minute. We have Dane coming in here to steal the Cold Fusion relic. So then, going forward, yeah, again, this is what I was talking about before, where, open up, there we go. Quintus is basically like, if you kill me, it's just going to cause chaos. By the way, if you didn't watch my last review, this map in the background is absolutely terrible. It shows effectively the Hoover Dam being in Colorado. But anyway, let's keep going here. So yeah, Maximus, for a long time here, holds Quintus at gunpoint, but cannot bring himself to pull the trigger. And at the same time, then we get to Thaddeus actually effectively mentioning that he's having a panic attack. Neither one of the elders knows what a panic attack is, and I do enjoy that the Coronado Elder actually says, it just sounds like you're having a coronary, just walk it off. It's like, I don't think that's how that works. But let's see here. So yeah, again we have so yeah, it's 3 different cuts here where Maximus is effectively confronting Quintus. 1 second here. Yeah, back up. Okay, forward. There we go. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, Quintus pulls out his 10mm pistol. Now, it's been a while since Quintus has been in the field, I think, and it's been a while even since he's ever fired a gun. And right here, it looks like he's about to fire a gun with both eyes closed, so not great for him. And in fact, he misses Maximus with every shot that he takes. Maximus only fires off a single shot. Two shots, it looks like, both of which he fires as he's falling to the ground, while Quintus basically is like moving towards him, firing, but again missing every single time, because again, if you haven't noticed, Quintus has kind of a tremors. I don't know if that's something of the actor himself, if that's like an affectation that he does, or if he actually has a health condition, but I've seen this actor in another role before, and he kind of has like a bit of a shakiness to him in that as well. But so again, I don't know if that's part of his acting method or if that is something that's specific to him, but it's something that is shown here with Quintus as well, and Quintus has terrible aim. But anyway, let's go here. So we get back to Thaddeus within the mess hall, where the Grand Canyon Elder now shows up, basically to get in on it. And we have... Let me back it up, because I'm going to try to get a shot of this that's not immediately bloody. Okay. Yeah, there we go, because I don't think YouTube would like this other shot here, which is Yosemite Elder. Yeah, Grand Canyon Elder is hilarious, especially because he's got robosexuals within his group, and he's just like, hey, that's within his rights as an American. But yeah, we've got Yosemite Elder here who stabs Coronado Elder in the face. When Coronado Elder basically is rousing his troops. So, let's see here. So yeah, Thaddeus basically kind of loses his nerve a bit here. Yeah, see, I don't think it's a street sign. I think it's actually a license plate. I'm pretty sure it's a chunk of an Arizona license plate, because it looked like it says Grand Canyon on it, and it looks like it has like a little bit of lettering and numbering above it. Pretty sure it's an Arizona license plate. But, yeah, so Maximus locks Quintus up in the office with the chains on the door there. One squire who was well within his right, exactly. So, yeah, Dane finds Maximus, and Maximus confesses that he didn't have it within him to kill Quintus. And Dane's basically like, oh, that's fine. You should never feel bad for not killing somebody. And it's like one of those things where it's like, I feel like this is going to come back to bite him, not having killed Quintus. Either that or it's going to work out well for him. One way or another, you never know exactly how these things are going to go. Fisto has visited many in the Grand Canyon, perhaps. But yeah, I think not killing Quintus could have dire ramifications long term, but regardless. So yeah, Dane has the cold fusion tech, gives it to Maximus, and that's the thing I forgot to mention. The Grand Canyon Elder comes in who's like, all right, which one of you backstabbers stole the cold fusion relic? Turns out it was Dane, giving it to Maximus. Tells Maximus to leave because Maximus is the least bad person there, effectively. I think Dane is going to kill Quintus. Yeah, it's probably going to be one or the other there. Either Dane's going to kill Quintus or Quintus is going to kill Dane. I would not be surprised. Okay. So the next thing we see is Thaddeus and Maximus. Now, if you remember before in the first season, we had Thaddeus on the foot as the squire with Maximus within the armor. Now it's reversed. Now, obviously, in this case, Maximus is not working as Thaddeus' squire, but still it's an interesting change in the dynamic here. But we have an ongoing battle in the air, a four-way battle between the different chapters of the Brotherhood out here. Now, we don't know which one, but one of these airships, in fact, it's this one right here, does go down. Now, the firing continues after the fact between these other three, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they either disengage or if maybe only even one of these airships survives, or if none of them survive. It could well be that they damage each other enough that they don't make it through this and all four airships go down. We'll see eventually. Again, yeah, this is why airships are great when you don't have to deal with the potential for anti-air fire, even, again, if it's coming from another airship. Which is why they make great ships for the post-war world, where there's not a lot of anti-air fire available, but they don't make a lot of sense for warfare. Alright, so yeah, again, you can see it in the background here where there's an airship going down. We got Thaddeus and Maximus running from this battle here. There's another good shot with the actual explosion in the background. But again, you can still see tracer rounds going between the craft here. So the battle is ongoing. Next, we get back to Vault 32. 1 second here, I'll get a good shot of that. Where we open up on Chet doing laundry. Where I'm assuming he's checking these socks to make sure that they're clean and not some sort of weird fetish. But regardless, he's in here with Chet Jr. You can see there Stephanie's baby. Again, has literally no connection to him. But in the next room, we have Stephanie meeting with Woody. Yeah, dang Canadians indeed. We'll get to that here in just a second. So yeah, Woody is meeting with Stephanie to basically report a infraction of vault security, of intervault security, because he found Stephanie violating intervault security, and he's reporting it to Stephanie. And Stephanie says, "Oh, I'm going to escalate that right up the chain." It's like, "Oh, who's that go to?" She's like, "Oh, to the overseer." So you're reporting to yourself? It's just. But Woody is so ingrained in the system that he doesn't seem to understand exactly what to do here. So yeah, he's just basically reporting the situation to her. She's sitting here drinking her tea. But yeah, she's like, "You did great here. You followed protocol to the letter, and I will be sure to get back to you with a full report of my findings." In the background, though, Chet is investigating. Basically, he's putting the laundry away when he notices that there's something strange about the sock drawer, which I'll give you a shot of here. So yeah, he discovers that there's a false bottom to the sock drawer. Oh, something I forgot to mention before, which is probably going to be a thing that comes up later. In the scene where Stephanie is meeting, and let me get a screenshot back up there so it's not blank. There we go. In the moment before where Stephanie was meeting with Betty, Stephanie demands, in exchange for water, Hank's safe deposit box, or like a keepsake box. Now, exactly what he's got in there, we don't know yet, but it's going to be interesting to find out. So, regardless, though, Chet checks in on the contents of this while Stephanie's having this conversation with Woody. Chet finds in this false bottom of this drawer a billfold, and within the billfold he finds something interesting. Let me get a screenshot of it as soon as he finds it. Yep, there we go. He discovers that Stephanie Harper is actually Canadian. She is a American citizen from the annexed territory of Canada. So yeah, maybe something related to Phase 2, we'll find out. But yeah, so he's discovered that she is a pre-war person, because you can see right here, date of birth, 15th of February, 2045. So yeah, she was 32 when the world came to an end, but somehow she's still, fairly young enough to have children within this vault. So he's definitely discovering some interesting things about Vault 31. So let's go ahead, and he goes ahead and he hides puts the ID back in the billfold, hides the billfold back in the false bottom of the sock drawer, and puts it away. Woody goes ahead and basically he says goodbye to Chet, and then as he's leaving, stops to ask Stephanie what she meant when she said experiment to Betty. Yeah. Stephanie basically says, "Oh, it's just overseer stuff." And then we get a shot of Chet seemingly having his own bit of a panic attack. A bit less severe than Thaddeus's. And it doesn't even look that severe right here, but let me see if I can get a better shot of that, where he is clearly terrified of Stephanie. And again, individual screenshots don't really do it justice, but he's clearly freaking out here. And he goes to hide in the room. Next, we come up to the strip. Now, again, like I said before, when we were at the entrance to the strip, it was broad daylight. Somehow, by the time they got through the gate, it is now nightfall or beyond. I don't know how, like, what exactly is supposed to have happened in between when they arrived and when they got to this point. The only thing I can guess is entirely that it was just for the purposes of the scene. The previous scene must have been better when the lighting showed Lucy doing what she was doing to those king ghouls, and then this scene is better because of what it brings with it. Yeah, they went through the loading screen and had time pass. I don't. Yeah, again, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. The real gate to Vegas, because they went around to the real gate. And obviously the strip isn't laid out exactly like this in the game either. We've got Gamora right here. We've got Vault 21 right back there in the background. Along with that, they see the Ultralux. Let me get a good screenshot here. Yeah, they probably did want to show off New Vegas lit. But along with that, this is the scene where they bring in Deathclaws. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I missed that in the background there. And it's only a part scene. That is part of the Tops Casino sign right there, up in the top left corner of that. But yeah, they see... Yeah, basically Lucy's like, aren't there supposed to be people here? The ghoul says, uh-huh. And again, we got Gamora right there. They did a great job with the set design here, in terms of, like, basically getting everything right from the in-game world. Got a good screenshot there of the opening to the Ultralux. Now, it obviously doesn't look exactly like the Ultralux does in-game, but the logo, at least, is correct, so at least there's that. And, yeah, Lucy is still being a bit... what's the proper word for it? Careless, I guess would be the way to put it. Still a little exuberant. And let me get a screenshot of when she finds what she believes to be a giant chicken egg. Yeah, she asks, how big are the chickens out here? Oh yeah, and her Geiger counter's going off as well. I think that's an interesting point. But we got right here, she's got this egg that she thinks comes from a chicken. Green in military speak. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, she's also... Yeah, they got the ghoul saying, those aren't chickens. And we got him basically having a terrible flashback to his time in the war. They start hearing screeching and banging from Gamora. She's decided that she thinks they can handle it. Another shot of Gamora's front entrance there. And yeah, we got the ghoul with a little bit of a deer in the headlights. Because again, he knows what's coming because he remembers it from the war. If Cooper will get a PTSD moment. You'd almost think he'd have to here. I mean, like, he was utterly terrified of this at the time of the war. So when he sees this thing come crawling out of the casino, I mean, look at those claws. I mean, this is easily the most terrified the ghoul has looked. Yeah, there we go. We've got this Deathclaw bursting out of Gamora. And so that's effectively the end of the episode right there. I can go ahead and zoom forward to the credits here. And I can give you a good shot of what's going on here. Like we start off with what looks like just some cards and some caps. And we see that the cards and caps are on a table surrounded by corpses. Now it appears that all these guys, well, it looks like they've been stabbed. So they look like they've all got Legion swords in their back. I don't know exactly how they would have all gotten surrounded. Yeah, they did do a great choice here. Of course, it's music from Fallout 4 as well. Then we get to the airport. And it's clear that, again, this is taking place within Camp McCarran. And we get a shot here where you can see that the Legion attacked Camp McCarran. So it appears that the Legion destroyed the NCR forces at Camp McCarran, which indicates, obviously, that they must have won the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. I don't know how else to excuse this. Now, obviously, there were forces on the western side of the river that were not coming across the Hoover Dam, but at the same time, it's hard to imagine how a Legion force sizable enough to attack Camp McCarran would not have been stopped by forces coming from the Hoover Dam or something like that, unless maybe they got a sizable enough force to the south and then they attacked the dam, and while these forces were coming around from the south to hit Camp McCarran. But regardless, Camp McCarran destroyed by Legion forces. Now, the radiation on the strip makes me think potentially what we're looking at is a dirty bomb attack like they did at Searchlight. Now, obviously, at Searchlight, it's not exactly your standard dirty bomb. What they did there was a nuclear waste truck parked within the fire station there that had parked there on the day of the bombs, and all they did was go in and open up the radioactive caskets within that thing, which flooded the town with radiation, killing everybody in there. But yeah, again, the fact that there is radiation on the strip indicates to me that we were looking at, and obviously it was not bombed in the traditional sense, so I think what we're looking at is potentially another Legion radioactive attack taking place on the strip. So we'll find out more, though, going forward. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they come up to next. In terms of the individual stories, we've got Maximus and Thaddeus fleeing Area 51 with the Cold Fusion Relic. We've got Dane hanging out with Quintus. We've got Lucy and the Ghoul and Dogmeat dealing with the Deathclaw on the strip. We've got Norm with Buds moving through Los Angeles within Vault 33. We've got the Water Crisis within Vault 32. We've got Chet discovering that Stephanie is not all that she seems. So let's see here. We got the Rangers on the move, but we don't really know much more about that right now. We've also got the Legion with having their Civil War, but we don't really know more about that yet. Within the Brotherhood of Steel, they've obviously got their own civil war going on, and we also know that the Commonwealth seems to be coming, so it's going to be interesting to see where all these things go. I think I don't know how many more episodes there are. 1 second here, because I can't remember. I assume it's the same number of episodes as there are with the first season. So let's see what that is. 8 episodes. Yeah, I figured we were about halfway through. I just wanted to check season 1 to see if that was also 8. Yeah. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see where all this ends up. Oh, and one person we didn't even touch on in this episode, we got Hank McClane still doing his thing with the BCIs, the brain-computer interfaces, within whatever that Vault-Tec facility is. We also don't know what's going on with House. In the pre-war world, we've got Cooper still not having confronted his wife, Barb, about the fact that he knows that Vault-Tec is planning on ending the world. We also know that they're eventually going to go to Las Vegas and meet with House. So we'll have to see exactly where all this stuff goes. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what exactly is going on with House. So in terms of videos that I'm currently working on, I'm trying to get the Aquila City video done. Every single time I work on it, it's like I find more stuff to put into it. So, and I've definitely gotten to where I understand more. So I'm going to give you a quick note here about something that I've basically I've come to the conclusion on with Aquila City, which is that the Freestar Collective is much more loose of a confederation than the United Colonies. In that the Aquila City Freestar Collective is kind of like America of the time of the Articles of Confederation. Effectively a very weak centralized government with a lot more freedom involved for the individual, where they fund things for collective security, so they do things like they build the wall around the town collectively, but when it comes to paving roads, that's up to people. Like, if you want the road paved out in front of your house, you pave that road out in front of your house. We're not doing that for you. So I think that's effectively what I've come to the conclusion on there. But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm currently working on. Once I finish the Aquila City video, I'm going to be going on to work on Fallout 76 videos covering the Burning Springs area. Along with that, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. Sorry, 1 second. Let me check my email here, because it should be in my email. I've got this event going on later this month. I just agreed to do it 2 days ago, so I want to make sure I don't misstate the name of it. StarCon 2026, January 24th, from 12:40 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Basically, it's going to be several people who produce Starfield content on YouTube coming together to talk about Starfield, what's coming. Well, obviously we don't know exactly what's coming. Some of them do. Some people have more connections with Bethesda than I do. So I have not been introduced to whatever content is coming in that regard. But yeah, just talking about, I'm going to talk a little bit about the lore of Starfield and a little bit about the nature of that galaxy. But anyway, though, I hope that you all, it was good to talk to you all. I hope everybody's had a good week. And I look forward to seeing you all next Friday. I want to have that video out by then because I want to get on to working on the, I want to get to working on the Fallout 76 content again. I'm definitely looking forward to covering Burning Springs properly. But yeah, it's been great to hang out with you all. Great to talk to you all. And I will see you all next Friday. So have a great weekend, y'all.